So good morning, everybody. I'm Vicky Reeves, and welcome to our latest webinar, which is all about online donations and increasing your online donor journey. So for those, we've been running a series of these webinars. WPNC, we deliver compelling digital experiences and considered the leading experts in the world of digital frictionless donations. And we also have a product called GoDonate, which I know some of you on the call will use as well. So we're very sort of used to being in the world of online donor journeys and how to increase and improve those journeys. So just to sort of show what we're talking about a little bit, we have some stats here. We've got lots of experience in increasing online donations. And as I mentioned, we've got a product called GoDonate that handles the online donations for quite a few charities. Yeah, hopefully does that really well. So there's good examples there. Right, so top 10 tips for this morning. So what I'm going to do is talk for around 20 minutes at the most, and then the idea being is then we've got plenty of time before 9:30 for you to get more tea before your next meeting, or we also have time for questions as well. So if you do have any questions, just let us know at the end. So the plan is I'm going to start a little bit broader with the first top 10 tips, and then as I sort of go into it, I'm going to have some more specific practical tips as well as we get through them this morning. So firstly, around understanding your audience and what's really important, I think, is to look at the end-to-end journeys online. So mapping out the different starting points is really important. So it could be out of home, it could be Facebook ad, it could be an email, and then following that journey through to then see what the experience is like. So it's a good idea to do this yourself and map it out. We do a lot of supporter experience mapping to look at what those pain points and opportunities to engage along the way and really sort of help improve that experience along the way, no matter where they're starting from and how they end up donating. So I'd always recommend looking at that. Also, it's really important that we can't, expect people to donate straight away. You need to warm them up first, of course. So, you can't expect somebody to click on a Facebook ad and donate cold. We use a model called Engage, Connect and Convert. And really it's about recognizing that those supporter journeys are not a single entity, but instead require numerous touch points that take place across channels and media and across different devices. And ultimately that is then truly supporter engagement, which then of course leads to fundraising. So, looking at that in a bit more detail, using all the different marketing techniques available to you to move them on through that funnel. So there's an opportunity to convert at any time, of course, it doesn't have to be linear and to get that donation, but different expectations, it needs to be appropriate what you're offering at different stages. So, don't expect income to be your only primary metric. We often look at what we call micro conversion. So what other metrics and conversion points could you look at? And thinking about, your cold and warm targeting strategies. So, at the top of the funnel here, when people, as you can see here in the Engage and Connect, as people are starting maybe doing more thematic searches about particularly maybe related to the cause that is your charity is supporting, then that would be more content-led advertising, for example. And for that, you would have, more sort of hooks or call for actions that is not donations. But as you start getting lower down the funnel, when perhaps somebody's searching for, related to your charity in a bit more detail, then that's when you can start to be more offer-led advertising and do retargeting and so on. So, the idea being is just being appropriate at different stages in that journey. So we all know about test and learn, you'll have heard it before, but small changes can make an absolute difference. One of the things I've noticed though is I see a lot of great testing within social media or within search, where you're testing variants with adverts like, on Facebook, advertising, etc. But I don't see enough of it within the actual donor experience itself. So once somebody's clicked through to your website or campaign landing page and goes on to make a donation, I just don't see enough testing that charities are doing. And it's really important to do that throughout. So, for example, on the left here, just testing donation prompts could increase your average gift. So what does your data tell you about the average gift on your main website? What can you do to nudge that a little bit higher? What about warm supporters versus cold? You know, what's the average gift for them? You know, what about the idea of segmenting your audience and testing different donation prompt amounts based on what they've given in the past, for example? And then likewise, you know, thinking about imagery and messaging, you know, does asking for £20 for 2 months increase the gift versus asking for £10 a month? You know, what are the different things that you can do? And it's not expensive to test like this. You know, you can use something like Google Optimize, which is free, to be able to do testing if your donation experience, you know, allows for it. Or you can, of course, do something easily like this within a platform like GoDonate Plus. With GoDonate, you can obviously do this sort of type of stuff as well. But there's different ways that you can do it, and absolutely, I'd strongly recommend it. So tip number 4 is around landing pages. It's really important, you know, when people, potential donors come to that landing page, whether it's on your main site, particularly on your main site, then, you know, it does have a big job to do, because you've got diverse audiences that are coming through. You've got some audiences that just want to get on and make that donation. You've got others that maybe need a bit more convincing. They want to know more about where their money goes, or how much they should give, or why. And of course, you've got different diverse audiences, not just in terms of demographics as well, but also where they came from. So you'll have some people come through to your website and that donation landing page that have come from Facebook advert, or they maybe come from a press ad or a direct mail pack, or they've come from a TV ad. So, you know, just making sure that, you know, that it handles all of that as best as it can, and also have joined up messaging from where they've come from. And of course, it needs to work cross device as well. So, you know, what's a mobile experience versus desktop and tablet as well. But certainly, one of the key metrics of improving your landing pages, we do see, is really increasing your conversion. Just to carry on that for a minute, that, you know, we do a lot of user testing analysis, and one of the things that does come up quite a lot is how potential supporters want to know how their money is going to be used, and they want reassurance as well. So here's an example on the screen of children with cancer. So on the left hand side, the first half of the donation landing page, they've got some great things there, like about a video with impact, some storytelling on the page. And also on the right here, what's quite nice about it is they've also got where, if the user exhibits behavior where it looks like they're going to leave the page, that it comes up with a prompt saying, please wait, please do donate. Not everybody likes these types of pop-ups, so it's definitely something worth testing with your audience and your donors. But, you know, as always, test these types of things and see what works. Tip number 5 is around having campaign-specific donation journeys. So, as I mentioned earlier, it's really important end-to-end to have a consistent message. So from our experience, we've learned that it's important to customize the journey so that the message and the ask is tailored to the campaign throughout. So for example, you know, you're running a Christmas appeal, you should make sure that right from the moment that they land on the donation experience, that the imagery matches, the messaging matches, the donation prompts match, right the way through to the thank you page and the thank you email. Here's an example here from one of our clients, YMCA. You can see here on the left hand side, that's their main normal donation experience on the main website. You can see that on the left here that they've got different donation prompts for different amounts, and also they ask, you know, is it a personal donation or paying in on behalf of a company, and is it in memory, etc. And on the right hand side, they've in GoDonate, they've spun up a new donation funnel specifically for the invasion in Ukraine, where they are have a different donation prompts with different messaging and imagery. They've hidden all the extra sort of questions you'd normally ask, like is it in memory and so on. And it's just a very simple donation page that all has tailored messaging right the way through to the end. The other point number 6 is optimize the journey. So this is all about really removing distractions. I often get asked if the donation funnel should be within your website, as almost like a sort of within the content page of your website, or should it be something that is navigated away to but still feels like your website. I would definitely say not to have it within your website, and the reason being is that what you don't want to have is that navigation across the top that is too easy to navigate away. So, you know, if you do have it within your website, remove the navigation at the top, for example, because if you have got distracting links off to other places, then you know, you can easily lose people when they're sort of if they get stuck, or if they're sort of halfway through. So it's really important to just, if somebody's clicked that donate button and they really are in that mindset in that moment to make that donation, you don't want to have any barriers in the way or any distractions. Likewise as well, don't ask for the data if you don't need it. Less fields on the forms is really important. We all know that extra fields equals you know, more barriers for individuals. And there's little things as well, like when you optimize a journey around, you know, making sure that you provide help and support if needed, making sure that you're a real organization, that you show that to them, that they can call you if they need to, and you know, the little things like just making sure that the money is safe, and you know, when you're presenting that to them, so that they feel reassured when they go through that funnel. Number 7 is around consent. So in the world of GDPR, of course we have to ask the questions, but something to consider is how to encourage people to opt in. Again, lots of testing here that we do and our charities do, and it's a real opportunity to sell it to them. So MSF here, for example, you know, talks about what they're going to do, you know, if you do opt in. So, you know, in this case, quarterly magazine, or is it monthly emails? Could you use imagery to help make it more engaging for somebody to opt in? So, you know, there's definitely things that you can do to help encourage people to opt in, so that they can continue to hear from you. And another trend that we've seen over the last year or so is our charities are now, many of them are moving away from asking for consent for phone or SMS. So we've often seen places where it's just asking for email only, or asking for email and post, or a mixture. And again, it's something you can test. So, you know, it does the amount of people that sign in to receive your emails, does it increase if that's the only option you give? It's definitely worth testing. I wouldn't be talking about online donations if I didn't talk about things like Apple Pay and Google Wallets, and so digital wallets. You know, we live and breathe here at WPNC and GoDonate. We live and breathe online payments and innovation, because ultimately, if we can keep making it better and innovate in the world of online payments, then we make those donations easier and faster for people to give, and make it as frictionless as possible. So, and when you're implementing some of these digital wallets like Apple Pay and PayPal and so on, there's ways to do it that means that there's less fields for the users to complete. And of course, it's more secure as well for many, which is good news, because I'm sure many of you have seen that, you know, you get the when you're paying by card, a lot of the time now you get 3D Secure 2 pop up, which is when you get that second authentication that you have to do, where it says sending you a text message with a one-time passcode, or some other form. The great thing about digital wallets such as Apple Pay, for example, is that they meet those requirements, because of course you're already using your biometrics with, you know, Face ID or thumbprint and so on. So it helps, again, just makes it a little bit more frictionless and easier. It's worth noting as well, in terms of the growth, we're seeing a lot of growth in the use of digital wallets. So we have a report that's just about to come out this week, actually, that looks across all the data, across all of the tens of millions of pounds that we look after across 2022, across all of our charities, and it basically shows, one of the stats that it shows is around the usage of Apple Pay and Google Pay and so on. And we're now seeing around 8% of all donations are Apple Pay. Now, I should caveat that, because that's 8% of all donations across all devices, so including desktop. As you can imagine, on a mobile device, that usage of Apple Pay and also Google Pay, which is not quite as much, but also has there, is much, much higher. So absolutely is a payment method that people are using. In terms of other future options, we're always looking at what the next technology is, but there are other, you know, digital wallets out there like Amazon Pay and Samsung Pay and so on, but we haven't seen enough of an uptake yet to justify it yet. But one of the other ways, one of the things we are looking at is open banking, and being able to do instant donations and instant pay using your banking app. Again, it's early days. We've got testing and prototypes in place ready to go, but it's still early days at the moment with that, I think. But that is something that we'll see a trend of this year for sure. And when thinking about growth in digital wallets, regular giving, so traditional businesses and particularly charities, we've all been using for direct debit for many, many years for our regular gifts. But there's absolutely a shift happening here. What we're more familiar with now is, if you think about it, paying for Netflix or Amazon Prime or other things like that, other types of subscriptions, we're not using direct debit, and users really do want this choice. We've seen really interestingly that in 2019 we saw, of all online donations, recurring donations where you had the choice of these different options, including direct debit, we saw around 25% were digital wallets and card. In 2020, that jumped to 35%, and in 2021, we've just got the data and it's showing 42%. So what that means is it's showing nearly half of those that are signing up to a recurring gift, in terms of giving monthly, are choosing not direct debit, but are choosing other ways as well, which is really interesting and definitely a growing trend. And we also know for sure as well that it increases conversion by offering this choice. So as an example, NSPCC, when we added PayPal for them, we did an A/B test of their monthly page that just showed just direct debit, and then another page that had direct debit and PayPal, and it was an A/B test where half the traffic went to one page, half went to the other, and we saw just by adding that there was a 50% increase in conversion. So it can really make a difference. So tip number 9 is QR codes. So we've all seen, I think, the growth of QR codes since the pandemic. During the pandemic, we all remember probably using QR codes in restaurants to browse the menu, or at park cafes to order drinks and snacks, and of course the NHS Test and Trace app. So as a result of this, many organisations now, including charities, are now using QR codes more seriously. Absolutely pleased to be using them. Use them in your direct marketing packs. We use them for the Poppy Appeal for the British Legion, but having them on available in different places, whether it's out of home, on posters, it's just a great way to have a really quick way to donate when people scan. And what I really love about QR codes is all the lovely data and tracking you can do. So you can embed into the QR code all sorts of lovely tracking and data, and it doesn't affect the user experience. What's also great about it as well is that, again, if you've got a donation experience that you can do different campaigns for, or different types of donation experiences, like something like GoDonate or whatever you might use, is that you can also, when you scan the code, is have it completely tailored to what that direct mail pack has, for example. So let's say in the direct mail pack you've got particular donation prompts and you've got particular messaging, that QR code could absolutely match what that pack is showing. And therefore, when they do scan the code and they go through to that donation form, they've got all the same messaging, same prompts as what they were seeing in the offline world. So, and again, all of that sort of helps having that consistent end-to-end journey and supporter experience, which of course we all know increases conversions. Right, finally, last point is tracking. So we love data and analysing data. It gives you great actionable insights. So just make sure that you have your tracking on your donation journey. So, track the motivations of why somebody's giving, track the source, where they've come from, track the donation types, track your appeal codes, and so that you can see where the money is going to, and which appeal or campaign they've come through, and then use that data, look at it and use it to make informed decisions of changes you want to make. Okay, so that was a very quick 20 minutes to talk through 10 top tips. So happy for you to jot down any questions, and I'll do my best to answer them now while we've still got a few more minutes before, still got 10 minutes left. While you may be thinking of any questions, just to give you an update on our next webinars. So this series of the top tips is just finished now. This is the last one I did today. But we've got some more webinars coming up later this month, next month, sorry, in April. So we have online donation trends report. So that's a report that I mentioned just now that has trends in there around, payment methods, around even location, around the trends of 2020 versus 2022, yeah, 2021. And so there's lots of other good stuff in there as well. So we're going to be doing a webinar on that to show the key highlights. Also, we have another webinar on the 27th, which is being run by my colleagues Gail and Claire, which is around some research that we've done recently, some really interesting consumer research around legacy giving, and thinking also around the next generations for legacy giving in terms of millennials and others. So do sign up for that too. What we'll do is when I'll send around, or myself and my colleague will send around a link to this presentation in the next couple of days, and also with that we'll send you through sign-ups to get to these other webinars if you're interested. So okay, let's have a look. See, we've got a few questions popping in, so let me just see. Okay, so the first question here is from Leah. Thanks. With QR codes, when you've included them on printed materials, how many of the responses have been via a QR code compared to the printing response form? It's funny you should ask that. Actually, I was looking at some stats from a charity the other day. I can't remember what it was now. It was quite significant, actually. It was a lot more than what they thought it was going to be. I'll have to see if I can find out, because I can't remember off the top of my head what the stats was, but it was reasonable. And I mean, of course, it does depend, you know, do allow for the fact that you're going to have different audiences on printed materials, that and some audiences will use QR codes more than others, but it's definitely a reasonable amount. Can we make our QR codes trackable? Can they be linked up to Google Analytics? So yes, you can, absolutely. So what you can do is with the QR codes, essentially what a QR code is what the information you give it. So if you imagine your URL of landing on your donation journey, and you might have donate.mycharity.org/whatever, and then you can have all that analytics tracking in there, and that's essentially what then you then say is the QR code. So absolutely, yes, you can link it up. Let me just see, there's some more in here. Where can we find the recordings of these webinars? We will send you through a link after this and send that to you. So thank you for that question. And yes, there will be recordings available. So thanks for those questions, for asking those. Let me just see if there's any more popping up. That's fine, another QR code question, that's all right. What platforms would you set these up? So to be honest, QR codes are, QR generators are free and everywhere really. So if you literally just go on to online and just say put in QR code generator, and then there's lots that come up, and it's really easy. You literally just copy and paste the URL is the URL that you want to have people land, so your donation landing page with all the tracking code and so on, and then literally it will just generate the QR code for you. So dead easy to use. One thing you have to be careful on though with the free ones is I think they only last for a certain amount of time, and if you you have to pay a small fee if you want that QR code to be available, you know, indefinitely or for a year or whatever it might be. So just something to bear that in mind when looking at them. But there's loads of free and cheap ones online to use. Question here from Barry, thank you. Can you give us any general advice about age and uptake of digital? There's probably some good stats out there. I mean, it's always evolving. Certainly with the pandemic, we've seen a huge shift in all ages and uptake of digital, and particularly the older generation as well. I'm sure we've got some stats somewhere. I'll see if I can dig some out, Barry, and send them over to you. Yeah, cool. There's another one here. You mentioned about reducing the amount of consent options, i.e. removing telephone and mobile. What impact does that have on converting people to regular giving from one-off donations? I don't have any stats on that, I'm afraid. I'd love to have that, but it's probably too early to say. I think that's something that you would need to look at your own data really. How many do you, where you have got phone, for example, and mobile, how many of those do you convert compared to maybe how many do you convert first via email or post? I think that's something you would have to just really dig deep and have a look at your data. Unfortunately, I haven't got any data on that. Be great data to share though if you get it. Charlotte, thank you. Let's see if there's any more coming in. Okay, I think that might be it. Questions, unless anybody's frantically typing. If not, if you do have a burning question, you haven't had a chance to type it, or you need to shoot off, then feel free to email me. I'm pretty open to answering questions and things. I'm always happy to do that. So just let me know. And like I said, I will drop round an email in the next day or two to share the recording and the links to the next webinars. Thank you, Steph. Yeah, good. Well, I hope you enjoyed it all, and some tips in there. I'm sure some of them you absolutely knew already, and I hope that there was a couple in there that was of use as well. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it all, and thanks very much for attending.